So welcome to episode number 5 of the Can You Just podcast. Today we've got me, Katy, Terry and Mario, and we're going to be talking about our best jobs as a designer. So our favourite jobs, most creative, most memorable.
Most profitable.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a good place to start, isn't it? Because are the most profitable the best jobs? I'm not sure that they are.
No, they're not. They're usually the most trouble, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's a different category.
Well, let's start with favourite. When you say favourite, like the most. So if
What
mine's
do you
odd.
classify as best?
I would say that most satisfaction from a job. What job have you sort of gone, A, really enjoyed doing that, and B, I'm proud of what I did?
Yeah, that's
I guess
best,
that would,
isn't it? That would classify best.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been at this 40 years, so there's a lot of jobs, and I've probably forgotten half of them. But one I did recently was the Make Good Grow website here.
Yeah.
And I did that for free. No, actually, that's not true. So the branding I did for free, and it wasn't so much as a branding exercise. It was sort of a revamp and bring it all back in line. But it was part of the Make Good Grow process, so it was a free job. So interestingly, I found the fact that there was no budget attached to it very liberating, because I could spend as much time as I wanted. There was no constraints around, well, I've only got, so it's £500, I've only got 10 hours to do this or whatever it might be. I could spend as long as I wanted and make it as perfect as I wanted, and go into as much depth and as much research. It was almost like being back at college, and it was another level of satisfaction, I suppose. And I got a lot out of that. And I remember finishing it and thinking, I wish I was in a position that I could design for free all the time without the shackles of the monetary side of things. Because we all need to get paid, obviously, but it was just really liberating to do it for free. And I genuinely wish I was in a position, here's a full bank balance.
Yeah.
I'd love to go and help people and design for free for people.
I've always said if I won the lottery, I would start like a charitable creative agency. Working for charities who have no budget, and I'll just do it for free because I've got my savings from the lottery, and you've got the time to be able to do that. And when I think of my favourite or best projects, it's about the ones where I've been able to be as creative as possible, and the ones that I've enjoyed the most in the process of designing. And sometimes that's to do with freedom. And then, like you say, if you're working for a charity, or if you're working for a project that has no budget, like when you go back to just projects that you wanted to do on your own, self-directed things, you get the most joy out of it. So I feel like that's the best thing.
Yes, defining what the definition is, isn't it? Because that's what seems to be coming out, because we all have a different definition of what makes it the best.
And there are some jobs I've been paid for that I have still been able to be creative as well.
Yeah.
And I think for me it's about following those. So I want to get more jobs that allows me to be creative while still getting paid.
It's interesting that so the flip side of doing it for free and getting satisfaction out of it is having a whacking great big budget. Someone throws like $100,000 at you to do a logo.
Yeah.
That also frees you up, because again, the time restraints are gone, so you can really pour yourself into it, and you're getting paid for doing it. So work for free, work for shed loads of money, one or the other, and in between, not interested.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying it, because what's coming up for me is what's the criteria that it's good for me, and what's coming up is that I've understood what they want, I've realised what they need, I've helped them, kind of agree with what they actually need, and then I've got an answer that is correct from understanding what they need. But also for me, what's important is the process I use to get there should be efficient, because I kind of come from years of ideas and spending ages on ideas, but being totally inefficient. And so that's quite a big part of it for me. It's coming up with a really good process that gets to the right idea quickly, efficiently.
It's very satisfying when you create a corporate identity, a logo, or whatever for somebody, and they love it, and B, it works for them, and in a year or 5 years time down the line, they've grown massively, and they attribute some of that growth to what you did. I always say that designing a corporate identity or a website or whatever is like having a child. It's born and then it grows. Sometimes they die, which is not, but they do, don't they? Sometimes businesses fail and they don't. Not the children.
Sorry.
Not the children. There's a simile. But you know what I mean. But how nice to see a company that's evolved and grown alongside you and grown and outgrown you as a company. That's a great sense of satisfaction. I've had a fair few companies that have gone to completely different levels off the back of me helping them get there. So that's satisfying as well.
Good. And another one for me was it wasn't even about the design. It was about looking at the business, because somebody came to me and wanted to change their name, and so we talked about why, and so we got dug deeper and deeper, and we realised it's actually about pivoting and niching down with particular sector of her industry. And once we kind of got there, it was like something really woke up in her, and she's really excited at this new prospect, because I think it wasn't so interesting for her. It was quite general what she's doing, and that for me was really satisfying, to just see someone resonating with what the plan is. And then the graphics came after, but it was kind of and it was a consequence of what that direction was. But that moment of sort of there was a kind of moment when she went, wow, this is brilliant, and there was like a whole vibe going on. That was really satisfying, and it had nothing to do with design.
Although it's the bits before the design that are important, because you do a lot of brand strategy, brand positioning, which is good to back up the design that follows. But I think what that's about is more about providing a service that someone else has really appreciated, or just having that human connection. And I think when I have meetings with people, with new clients, or present my ideas for the first time, and then they really like it, and I feel really proud, I've done a good job, and I've offered something to someone and I've really helped them out, and then that's a good feeling. And then just that human connection and sharing ideas together and things like that, for me, that is how more creativity spurs, and it's just a really nice feeling. It's very satisfying, isn't it, to feel like you kind of you've resonated on the same level, and something really something good has come out of it, something that feels right. That's very satisfying. So that's the mark of a successful job, I find. And then and then the other creative part of it is, I don't know about you, but for me, that I really like it if it is clever. Has to be a clever idea in there, like two things. I kind of like the FedEx logo with the arrow, but stuff like not that. Obvious. Stuff like that. When there's two ideas that come together and create something really clever visual. I'm always gunning for that. And sometimes
I think most creatives do. It's like the Holy Grail, isn't it? And then you get one, and you put it in front of the client, and they go, I don't get it.
I like the one I did.
I've had that. When
they've given you an idea and they actually like the one they came up with.
So the point there is, are you then designing for the client, or are you actually designing for yourself? Because there's a degree of designing for yourself. I I design with what the client needs, obviously, because that's the brief. But ultimately, I'm trying to satisfy my own style and my own idea of what good design is about, like negative space logos, like the FedEx and stuff like that. You know, we all aspire to getting our logo in a logo book. Books anymore, but you know what I mean. And
the Wall of Fame.
Yeah,
It's
an exhibition of great logos.
Yeah.
Um,
So when you get clients, do you think they come to you because they know that your style is going to align to them, or do you kind of just get a client and then you're going to make whatever style is necessary work for them? Because at the moment, I know that my style is very bold and dynamic, and someone coming to me who wants something very subtle and refined probably wouldn't suit my style of design. I could do it, but I wouldn't get much joy out of it. I wouldn't feel necessarily confident backing it up.
I don't know. I suppose that's a question you should ask the client. You know, why did you come to it? Well, you were top of Google, and I quite liked some of the stuff you'd done. I guess they do see what you've done, and that will resonate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I have quite a set style, I suppose, and I do deviate from that style because you have to sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'll put what I like forward, I suppose, and if they push back and go, well, I know I don't like that, it's too masculine, I want something a bit more feminine, then you have to go back to the drawing board literally and start again. But yeah, I guess, I mean, we all have a style, don't we, that we default to. I don't know many designers that can just turn the hand to any style. You know, you have a set of fonts and a set of colours you like and layouts that you like, and that's the beauty of design, isn't it? There's just so many different ways. It never fails to amaze me that if on the rare occasion we do put like maybe 4 designers on a logo, because someone will come and say we want a logo, well, okay, I'll assign that to Dave or to Ian or myself, and we'll go away and do it, because it's not necessarily the best way to get lots of people on it. It's not cost effective. But when you do that, you've all got the same brief, you've all been in the same room, and you all come back and you've got completely different ideas. I think it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just you know, it's like, what's that adage about putting enough monkeys in a room with typewriters and they'll write the works of Shakespeare? Surely that if you put enough designers in a room, ultimately they'll come together and 2 of them will be the same
solution.
I don't know.
Some solutions they probably are quite obvious, aren't they?
And I think you get them out first.
But you probably lead towards there's sometimes a solution that is the right one for the right reason, and you probably get there. I think it's how you set it up.
Do you ever look at a logo like the FedEx one and think, if I'd been given that brief, would I have done that? Would I have designed that? Would that now be my logo? Because it seems very obvious with the arrow in the FedEx.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit of a sign of the times, because you know, a lot of the logos when the FedEx logo came out were very type-based, and a lot of them used like Helvetica.
Yeah. I still do.
So, which is fine.
I've got Letraset upstairs. You don't know what that is, do you?
I do. It's the thing where you rub the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Which is fine if that's all you've got. I've got 1 million fonts now. But just because you've got 1 million fonts doesn't mean you have to use them. There are still fonts out there that are classics. Like myself, classic will, you know, last, and they still look good now than when they were launched. And there are fonts out there who are just shit. Yeah,
so I'm working on a project at the moment. Their brand guidelines are with Helvetica, and a lot of it is very loose. Like I can be quite creative with it, but the font is Helvetica. And at first I was like, oh no, it's Helvetica. It's just what everyone else does. And that actually, when I've been working with it, I'm learning to like it again. I feel like I did start hating it a bit, but
as long as it's got lots of weights and font weights, it's great.
Yeah.
Because I went through a phase of using Helvetica non-stop, so much so that they called it Telvetica upstairs, because I used it all the time. And then I went on to Montserrat and Gotham and every other sans serif font. I don't like serif fonts, but that's it is what it is.
No, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
So you were saying you think that was a result of the Star of the Times.
I feel
edit.
like someone maybe like put the letters together in that font and then went, oh, there's an arrow.
But there is like with some of those classics, there is a sense of timelessness, isn't there? Like that does stand the test of time. It's not dated. So the solution is timeless because because the idea is so perfect.
Yeah.
And
like some of these other things, you look at them, some of these old designers, Paul Random, whatever. It is the idea is so perfect that, and the way they've executed it is pretty timeless as well.
Yeah.
You can see when stuff is caught up in its time, can't you? Because it's so obviously out of date when you look back at it.
I think that's always the challenge as a designer, isn't it? Making something that is gonna.
Yeah.
Not.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
I quite like following the trends and looking at what's popular at the moment. But
I couldn't tell you what's popular. Genuinely, I couldn't tell you what's in.
Montserrat was quite popular.
Well, yeah.
Everyone was using
All those free ones, because they're free.
I think it's about, for me, when I look at what's trending and what a lot of people are doing, some of it I have an opinion on. I go, I don't like that, but I do like that. So I'm gonna maybe try and think about how I could build that into a new project, or just keep it in the back of my mind as fresh ideas.
Yeah,
I've seen on social media numerous times where a creative will take an existing logo and then just reimagine it, and you think that looks kind of cool. That looks better than
that's interesting, and also because the modern trend is to simplify everything, isn't it? Because of scaling and all that, digital platforms, everything is much more simplified down.
Yeah. So
I've seen some of the people on Instagram do that, don't they? They take an old logo and just refine it, but it's always down to simplicity. But again, you got me thinking now, because I'm thinking, do I try to do things that are timeless, or do I
do things that
trends?
are now?
I think I prefer sort of like I said, clever ideas that stand the test of time, aren't sort of trend heavy. I think I prefer that.
Yeah, I've just by going back on the logos thing with the simplified stuff, I've seen a lot of logos now. I think obviously responsive logos are important, having a submark and a primary logo and a secondary, but there are some people that take it even further and they create 10 different logo designs, which I think it probably doesn't work for everyone, but if it was a very nice independent coffee shop or something like that, that could work quite well, because it's kind of trendy, it can go in lots of different places. The logo always looks recognisable, but is always a bit different, has a stamp feel or something like that, which I think that's quite nice. But that's, again, maybe that's a trending thing. Will that last? Will they just will the client get overwhelmed with the choice and then start using one, but then they actually use really a bad one?
Identity can get a bit lost then, can't it? If it's not clear, if there's not a through line that's obvious.
We're in the process of rebranding now.
Of your own.
Our own. I mean, the current Ghost logo is I don't know, 8-10 years old maybe. And I've done exactly what we're talking about now, simplifying it down. There are bits on the logo that are superfluous and they don't help it. So the little ghost has got little arms, it looks like a T-Rex. I mean, what can you do? He couldn't draw with those, and they're completely useless. So they've gone. It's quite it's
armless ghost.
Armless, it's completely armless. The eyes have changed. The logo itself was quite, not childlike, but it was very friendly and approachable and a little bit, young, I suppose. The new one is a progression. It's more purposeful. It's a bit more grown up. It's a bit more somebody
corporate.
Not some
sophisticated.
Corporate. I wouldn't say sophisticated. Somebody said aggressive. Actually, it's got a more purposeful look about it.
Okay.
He's quite an angry-looking ghost. He's a bit Spider-Man-y, with those eyes.
Okay.
But I like it. It needed doing. But you can still see the evolution from where it was to where it is. and new palette of colours we're going to use. I mean, it's always been ghost green, but for some unknown reason they don't want that upstairs, so I'm bowing over to that.
Where did the name come from?
Ghost. It was, I set it up on my own. I was working. Have I not told you this?
I can't remember.
I set up on my own. I was working for another agency, and I was working under a non-compete, garden leave sort of thing. But at the same time, as we all do, I was going and seeing clients. And actually, I wasn't. To be fair, they were coming to me and saying, "Look, we don't want to work with these guys. We want to work with you." Because designers are like hairdressers, aren't they? You have a hairdresser, you stick with that hairdresser. They move down to, my other half's hairdresser lives down near Silverstone. She goes to Silverstone to get her hair done. It's like there's plenty in Leamington, but nope, she's my hairdresser. I'm going there, and it's the same with designers. So they follow you, and it's just it was just all cloak and dagger. And I remember saying to someone, it's like being a ghost. And I thought, a ghost quite cool, because I had a couple of other names in the pipeline, and Ghost was not one of them. But yeah. So yeah, it just kind of stuck.
Right.
And then trying to design a logo for that. Designing a logo for yourself, nightmare.
It doesn't look like a
It's so
Pac-Man
hard.
character.
Well, the last thing I wanted when I designed the logo 25 years ago was a ghost. I'm not having a ghost as a logo. I had the word ghost with all this sort of stuff coming out of it. I had my hand at one stage. When I very first started, I scanned my own hand. I had this sort of ethereal hand logo.
Hand?
Yeah, my hand.
To ghost hand.
It was. Don't ask me. Honestly, it's been through so many variations, but this one is by far the best. I mean, the current one's good, but this one's gone up another level. So, but just evolved, I suppose.
Nice.
But we've kind of gone off a bit off topic, haven't we?
What
What were we
was
talking
the
about?
topic? What was the conversation?
Oh, most satisfying design.
Best job, isn't it? Is it
Best job.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
What's your best job?
Yeah.
Best jobs. Yeah, I've sort of mentioned something.
You've forgotten what it was.
Yeah, so I mentioned the one about the one that wasn't even part of the design, wasn't actually the satisfying. It's about being satisfied, wasn't it? And then so another one I did recently was for a local sustainability consultant and for highways. And so it was PYE, and I was trying to find a way to use the P, and I eventually realised that I could make, if I made a square, I could make the P shape with a road, and the road was green, and suddenly there was a P and a green road, and it was sustainability. I was so happy. Oh man, I felt
Sometimes you have to dig them out, don't you? Sometimes
it took a while, but once I got that, it was just like there's nothing else. That is it. It can't be anything else. And she's going, yeah, that's what I do. Green roads. It's all about the green roads. And I thought, that's it. I could die and go to heaven now.
I genuinely can't think of any really. I mean, you were saying earlier you've entered competitions and stuff. I've had designs that have won awards and stuff like that.
So they've never been client projects. It's been purely like, so for example, the Demo Fest is the Design in Motion Festival. It's run by Studio Dunbar in Amsterdam. And they just put like an open call for motion designers to create motion design. So I think the first year that I did it was like 10 videos that you could apply with. And I just started doing motion design, so I was playing around with loads of different stuff. And I think it wasn't a client job, but I had 10 videos, 10 seconds to play with completely new things I'd never done before. And one of them got into the thing, so it was shown across screens in Amsterdam for 24 hours. So that's one of the best things I've done, based off of like, it's an amazing thing that people have seen, but also I got a lot of creative satisfaction out of it because I was able to play around for 10 videos just to see what I could come up with.
Nice.
And I do a few things like that. I don't always get anything from it, but just putting time aside to go, right, this thing's coming up. So like Inktober is coming up, and I like to draw, but last year I challenged myself to draw each theme every day, but as a word, so bringing it back to typography. So mixing typography with illustration as a challenge, and I didn't get anything from that, any work, but I got a lot of creative ideas from it, which then can build into
Do you think that's
work.
Do you think that's where you traverse the line of design, that where a designer becomes an artist, is when you do it for yourself? Is that the difference? What's the difference? Designer and artist. Designer does it for other people, so when you do design
But
for yourself,
artists do it for other people, don't they? Because of commissions.
don't know. Depends. I mean, like a fine artist has their
It's
own
not a
vision.
service-based.
They're not
thing.
solving someone
Yeah.
else's problem, are they? Designer is, but when you're
Yeah.
doing it for yourself, does that make you an artist?
Perhaps.
Bloody hell.
Dun, 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 dun. That's the thing, isn't it? Because it's
Yeah.
I saw that somewhere the other day. What's the difference? I wish I'd listened to the video now, because I'd have something intelligible to say. So here you go.
Well, somebody said to
How do you
me,
know?
we were designing a backdrop for a performance,
Mm.
and somebody said to me, "Oh, you're looking at it from the point of view of designer, and I'm looking at it from the point of view of an artist,
Yeah.
because there was an imbalance in the visuals." And I said, "Well, it's about visual balance, really. It's not." And I thought, what is the difference then?
Well,
Does design conform to rules, whereas art doesn't? Maybe.
Well, I think it's
Not
about who you're
necessarily,
doing
yeah.
it for. Because a fine artist has a vision, and they fulfill their own vision. They're not trying to do
Yeah.
something for someone else.
There's a thing about fine art is all conceptual, so it's about the conceptual ideas, and then visual communication, graphic design serves a purpose.
Yeah.
So
It's about solving a problem. basically.
fulfilling a brief, solving
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
But when I did art foundation, and I went into it thinking I was going to do painting and art and all of this,
Right.
and then
Oh,
found
did you?
Viscom, and then studied like typography and made loads of zines, and I love like making handmade.
What's a zine?
You don't know what a zine is?
Oh,
You
No.
know what a zine is? Yeah.
He's
I
saying
know
he
what a
does.
zine
He
is.
doesn't really.
It's like
You tell me what it is. By the way, you're getting smaller and smaller in that seat. You were up here about 20 minutes ago. He's
my
he's
God.
almost under the table.
Low
It's like,
rider.
like, where's Mario?
Low rider. A zine.
A zine is like a indie version of a magazine, but you can just hand make them. Like I made lino
What, a
cut.
scrapbook?
No, not. It really it could be anything. Like Rhizoprint, loads of Rhizo printers make zines. So
It's a Rhizo printer. Don't look at him. He
Got
doesn't
me
know
now. I
either.
don't know what Rhizo printer is. What's
How
a
old are
Rhizo
you?
printer?
How old are you?
no, I'm
How
serious,
old
this
are
is-
you? I
this
know you
is-
shouldn't ask.
They built
You're in
them
your 20s,
along-
aren't you?
They built them before I was born.
Cut the sound.
Rhizo printers are like old office printers. You had a big
A
drum of
photocopier?
ink. Yes.
Right.
But it's specifically a Rhizo printer. You put the ink drum in,
Yeah.
and it's one colour, and it prints one colour,
Yeah.
and then it dries. You take that out, and you have to then put a new.
So a bit like
thing.
screen
That's
printing,
old school.
It's screen printing,
It's
but
super old.
but digital screen printing.
it's not really.
That
digital.
must have passed me
But
by.
yes, it's digital.
I must have been on holiday when that became a thing, and now it's back.
Okay, going back to the zines. It's like a little handheld thing, or it could be bigger. You know, like in music, some like bands would make a zine. So like, no, okay.
Yeah, it can
I'll
be
show you
just-
some pictures
It
afterwards.
can't just be your sheet, can't it?
Yeah, and you could fold them down, or you could staple them, or you could bookbind them properly.
It's a magazine, but
But
not necessarily.
It's quite a good way to mess
pages.
around with layout design, and just be creative with the materials you're using
What was
as
the
well.
question?
What's
What
a
is a
zine?
zine?
I have no.
Well,
I'm still
where
no
did it
further
come
forward.
No, where did it came out with something?
Oh, when I was saying, because I was studying art foundation,
Yeah.
and I always came from an art background. I never really understood
Yes.
design. So in every choice I make, I think there's a subconscious part of me that is, I am an artist. I paint on the
Yeah,
weekends. I
this
create.
is really
I
interesting.
draw. I go out but I don't do it for anyone else because
Yeah.
I want to draw for myself, because in my work I'm doing it for other
Right.
people. So I
we're-
think there is just a subconscious part of me that is inherently an artist, that it comes through in my design work.
this is a really interesting topic for me, because it's what makes people go and choose to be. If you're creative, what makes you choose to be a designer rather than an artist? Is it because because a lot of art, when I went to art college, there were fine artists and there were designers, and my friends were all fine artists, and we used to walk into town and they'd point to a shop window and go, "That's you, that is," and fine art is kind of prestigious thing about fulfilling your own vision, isn't it? But what makes
that's quite interesting, because I bet you could name a dozen famous artists. Name one famous graphic designer.
Yeah, there are. Well, there are.
That I know there are, but go out in the street and say name your graphic designer. They go, no.
Yeah, we would know a lot more than.
Well, we would, because we study it. But it's an interesting topic. Is it another subject for another time? Do you think?
I think so.
It is, because we're kind of running out of time.
Yeah,
really.
but I do have an answer for you.
I've got to go shots.
Go on then.
So, when I chose to do design, the nice answer is because I wanted a new challenge. And I'd never done it before, so it was challenging, and I was learning new things, and I was interested in it. It was exciting. But then the other side of it was I knew I was going to get more money out of that, because I was definitely going to get a job, because there are design jobs. Right.
Exactly. There's a route to market. If I become a graphic designer, I will go and work for a graphic design agency. If I become a fine artist, I'm going to be in the shed at the bottom of the garden.
Right.
Yeah, you can't go to graphic design. There's no fine artists here. There's no fine art company. But you don't. As far as I'm aware, there probably are, but there's no offices full of easels and everyone's painting like this, and then they're selling those. I
mean, there are.
Yeah. There probably is.
There are. But it's a different.
I think there's one in Leamington actually. There's one in Leamington. I walked past it the other day.
Yeah,
you can hire the rooms out.
That's interesting.
But that's the truth of it. It's financial, isn't it?
Yeah. But as you say, you can, because a lot of designers do a lot of other creative things, don't they? A lot are musicians. A lot do what you do, is do fine art as well.
Flower arranging.
Yeah, but it's the easiest way to make a living, I guess, in this day and age, when you don't have a patron, is it? Patron?
Yeah.
Who pays for your life as an artist? Yeah. Those were the days. The Renaissance days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the best route to market, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
I can't think of another one. I suppose you could go and work at Royal Dalton if you're into pottery or something, and I guess fashion design, you can go into fashion houses and stuff, but
that's still different from fine art.
Yeah, no, it is.
Isn't
yeah,
it?
absolutely.
So, they're all industry based. Nice. Good one.
Yeah.
Hippy dippies.
We got topics for the next sessions now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Good work.
Good.
Right. See you next time.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.